welcome back to SailorMotoTV. On this video we'll be installing the Arlen Ness big brake kit on our 2019 Street Bob. With this kit we expect to be able to brake a lot better on this Harley Davidson, and it's going to make the front look a little nicer too in the process. Let's get to work. So here's Achilles, our 2019 Harley Davidson Street Bob. You guys can see we have the factory rotor, so we'll be switching this rotor today and get some new pads in here. So here's the Arlen Ness big brake kit that we got from Get Lower Cycles, getlower.com. So this fresh EBC Sintered brake pads did not come with this kit. This was separately purchased. I just have it in here to keep it all together. We'll be putting some fresh pads as well on this brand new rotor. So this is a 15-inch rotor from Arlen Ness, like we already said, and here is the bracket from Arlen Ness that we're going to use to move the caliper outwards some, so we can fit the new rotor in there and the caliper moves away from where it's at right now to fit this new bigger rotor. We have the hardware that comes with the kit for the caliper bracket and the caliper. Let's get Achilles on the motorcycle jack and get her off the ground a little bit so we can take the front tire off and get to work on getting the old rotor and pads off so we can get the new stuff on, and then get the tire back on, and let's take it out there and get a feel of this brand new rotor. All right, so we got the bike up on the jack. You guys can see here, I put it halfway back on the bike. The tire is definitely touching the ground. Just got the bike up and straight, and we're going to loosen up the axle lock here, and then we're going to loosen up the axle. And when we get ready to get the axle out, then I'll lift it up just a little bit so that we don't have a lot of resistance here. Get the axle out and we'll roll the tire right out. After a fresh coat or Loctite on the rotor bolts, we tighten down the bolts and the rotor evenly on a cross pattern to make sure that it's evenly tightened. I use my wrist torque, but you should definitely use a torque wrench. Now I suggest you loosen up the bolts holding the caliper down before you take the wheel off, so that you have an even platform to put the right amount of torque if they're too tight, and then remove them obviously once you're working on that area again. As you can see here, I use some plates from my gym under the bike just so that the forks wouldn't be hanging there in the air, since my motorcycle jack is not too big, just for added safety, that's all. I then proceeded to remove the back plate from the caliper and the bolts so that we can get the old brake pads out. These brake pads were more than wasted. They were on the last draw for sure. And then we just put the brand new pads in. Same order, just reverse order of the way you took them out. Here's the Arlen Ness bracket. It goes mounted right where the caliper was with the provided hardware, and then the caliper goes mounted at the other end of the bracket, and it lifts the caliper just a little higher and moves it outwards to fit the new bigger rotor. We had some Loctite on these new bolts just as well. Now, I've worked on calipers and wheels on my other motorcycles previously. I am using just my wrist torque here. However, using a torque wrench is always a good idea. And as a matter of fact, the guide provided by Arlen Ness in the big brake kit tells you that you should be using 30 foot-pounds of torque for these bolts on the bracket and also for the caliper. Remember to have your new pads and your pistons inside your caliper spread apart again, so you can roll the new rotor into the new pads. Just got to clean up some of the grease from the axle that got from my hands on the bike, on the fork legs, and from my gloves. Again, check with your Harley Davidson torque specs to get the axle tightened back into proper spec, and the axle bolt on the bottom here as well. I just made mine good and tight, and we're good to go. And last thing, don't forget to pump your front brake back up so the pistons and the pads are back towards the rotor. So as you can see, we still got to change the rotor and the pads in the back here in the rear. We'll do that here in the near future, but for now, the front brakes are feeling night and day from the stock rotor and the pads that were already old. If you guys are in an area where you have turns and areas where you can ride the canyons or whatnot, you know that the better the brakes you have, the better the ride will be, because you can get up on those corners a lot faster and still have time to slow down enough to negotiate the turn safely. When you're not dealing with good brakes and you're on a ride like that, you miss out a lot on the ride because you have to start slowing down way ahead of time to make sure that you come into that turn at the proper speed to stay safe all throughout. But with these new brakes, we're gonna enjoy the ride a lot better, no doubt. Highly recommend it. Now, just to do a little quick celebration of another completion of another easy install on this bike, on this build, we're going to close the video with another stogie, with another good cigar smoke. This time we're gonna light up Connecticut from Rocky Patel. If you guys don't know too much about cigars and you're out riding somewhere new and you stop in a store and you're looking for a good cigar, if you find a Rocky Patel, it will never fail you. I have not yet had a bad experience with a Rocky Patel in over 15 years or so. And with that, thank you for watching. If you guys are new, like, share, and subscribe. Coming up next video is going to be the installation of the traction supply, new bars that are going to go on Achilles. Thank you again. See you guys on the next one. Ride safe.